Hello, and welcome to the Healthy Human podcast. My name is Callie. I'm your podcast host, and I am so freaking excited to have you here today, listening to today's episode, wherever you are. If you're walking, driving, working, welcome, my gorgeous queen. Okay, so this is a little wild. This episode is the first time I'm ever filming an episode while also recording it. So I'm putting my camera shyness to the side, and I'm going to make this happen for you guys. And yeah, I'm going to post the video on YouTube, so you can always watch and listen along on my YouTube channel. I'm literally stumbling over words already. My YouTube channel at Callie, Jardine. And yeah. Okay. So if you're new to the show, here's how it works. We always start things off with a little self check-in. Think of the self check-in as a moment to just pause in your busy day and reground yourself and just see how you're doing. Imagine you're checking in with your friend and just seeing how your friend's doing and what she's up to. So let's do this thing wherever you are. I want you to just take a nice, deep, big inhale through your nose. Fill up your lungs with lots of goodness, lots of love. And then at the top, slightly open your mouth, exhale, just letting go of any tension, negativity, just release it from your mind and your body. Okay, now I want you to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I feeling today? Getting honest with yourself, thinking about how your energy levels are feeling, how your moods are feeling, and then making your number from there. Okay, now I want you to ask yourself, did something happen in my day that made me feel how I'm feeling? Maybe you woke up feeling like this, or maybe something happened and made your day amazing, or maybe something happened and you're not feeling so great. So just starting to identify the cause, if there is one. And now asking yourself, what is one thing that I can do today to make my day improve by at least one number on the scale? So if you're already at a 10, what is something you can do to literally break the scale and hit an 11? Now, I want you to quickly make a promise to yourself, just telling yourself, I'm holding myself accountable to doing this thing to make my day a little bit brighter. Cool. Okay, now on a less deep note, I want you to ask yourself, have I hydrated my hot body in the past 30 minutes? If you haven't, I want you to go ahead and grab a nice cup of water and let's chug some water and hydrate on 3, 2, I'm struggling to unscrew my drink right now. And 1, cheers to hydrating our hot bods, my queen. All right, now I want you to ask yourself, have I stood up in the past hour? If you haven't, I want you to go ahead, stand up, shake out the legs, shake out the arms, get the blood flowing, and then sit back down and resume the podcast if you're sitting. Cool. Okay, now I want you to ask yourself, what is something that I love about my body? It is almost summertime, and I know the body image can be something a lot of us struggle with. So one way, and I talked about this in one of my episodes on body image, that you can really start to heal how you feel about your body is to place your hand on something, a part of your body you don't feel so secure about, and tell yourself, I love this part of my body. So just starting to think about parts of yourself that you love and really just hyping up the parts that maybe you don't feel so secure about. So I want you to think about the thing you love. And now I want you to ask yourself, what is one thing that I am proud of that I've accomplished so far in 2023? It is already May, and I don't know when is this the half the year? Is that June? I don't know. Math is like not my thing, but I feel like this year's already flying by, and it's really important to celebrate our wins. So what is that one thing that you're so freaking proud of that you've accomplished so far? Okay. You guys, also, if you're watching this, you're probably going to notice I have my sheepadoodle boy, Axel. He is on the camera. Typically, I don't record on the floor with him, but today I was feeling really cuddly. And so he's in the podcast, but it's funny because he keeps wanting to like lick everything, and it's like making disgusting noises on the microphone. So my apologies for that. But anyway, so we love Axel. Also, before we finish the self check-in, you guys, I have to spill some tea really fast. I'm getting another dog on Friday. So this episode goes live tomorrow. I'm filming this on Tuesday per usual. And I'm getting another sheepadoodle, and we're going to call her Mermaid. And her breeder is the same breeder that we got Axel from. So her parents are literally going to be Axel's parents, and they're going to be, I guess that makes them siblings. So I'm like in full blown dog mom mode. I read a dog training manual. I read like 150 pages at like 11 p.m. last night. So I'm in dog mom mode, but I'm so freaking excited. And I had to tell you because the podcast, you guys hear everything first. And I have some big freaking tea to spill coming up soon. But let's finish off this self-check-in, okay? I'm getting distracted. I want you to finish things off by setting a goal for yourself today. So I want you to think of one thing that you can do to better yourself and take a step towards becoming the best version of you. Thinking big here. What is something that you've been resisting that you know you need to become the best you? Okay, think about it and done. I hope you're feeling so good after that self-check-in. I hope you're feeling just a lot more present with how you're doing and just some goals that you have for yourself. I always say that when I don't have specific goals I'm setting, I find that I am a lot less like driven, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel like I have a clear direction I'm going in. So goal setting is really, really powerful. And I always think it's important to celebrate our wins and to see how far we've come in a week. And then also to just make sure we have some things in the horizon that we're working towards is so freaking important. But you guys, life updates. Wow. I have a freaking big update to tell you. And it's bigger than getting a second dog. In fact, it's so big that I haven't told literally anybody except for my family and friends. Some of my friends. So you guys are going to freak out. You're the first to know, basically. I'm married. Yes, I got married on, oh my gosh, April 30th. That was a week and 2 days ago. Yeah, it was April 30th on Sunday, and it's so crazy. And I have to tell you like everything of how it went down. But basically, if you didn't already know this, that I was engaged, if you just started listening to the show, basically I got engaged to John. John's my now husband, which is so crazy to say. I got engaged about a month ago. So we haven't been engaged for too long, but anyways, we were like already living together, already doing the whole thing. And we were just like, we like want to be married to each other. We want to make that commitment and we want to have a God honoring relationship. And so we decided to get married. And my family thinks I'm insane because I'm like the most spontaneous person. We planned this 2 weeks in advance. So basically we had signed a contract to get married at this venue in Florida in November. We're still doing it. We're still going to do like a big wedding with everybody. But we were like, we don't want to wait that long. So we were initially going to do this small ceremony. Okay, also to totally backtrack a little bit, if you watch The Office, and you probably have seen this episode where Pam and Jim go and they're getting married and they go and elope at like the waterfall. That was kind of like the first time I'd ever seen an elopement in a way that wasn't like, I don't know, I never like considered eloping, I guess, until I'd seen this episode. I was like, wait, that's actually really cute that they had like this private, intimate thing before their actual wedding. So that was kind of something that was like talked about between me and John. We're like, okay, maybe let's do this, maybe let's not. We were very like back and forth about it. But basically we decided 2 weeks in advance that we were going to do this little elopement on the beach, and we told our family, and it was my two parents, my sister and my grandmother came, and then John's parents came, and we had two of our friends taking photos and videos, and I'll be sure to share those on the socials once I go through them. There's like thousands of photos. Like shout out my friend Ellie for taking photos because she actually crushed it, and shout out Austin for videoing because like what good friends. But it was such a beautiful moment. We went to our favorite beach in Florida, and we basically just had this ceremony on the beach, and I wore this really cute like ruffly dress from Show Me Your Moo. It was like off the shoulders, like tiered layers, like kind of a high-low white dress, and I kind of like crimped my hair-ish to look like beachy waves. And it was just so fun. And it was really fun because the whole weekend my parents tried to make it really special. So we basically did the rehearsal dinner on Saturday, and then it wasn't really a rehearsal dinner, but we did dinner on Saturday, and then on Sunday we had our wedding, and then we had a dinner after at our favorite little restaurant where we live. It's like really fancy, nice seafood place. And my parents got us a wedding cake and balloons and decked out our car with like literally wrote on our windows like just married, and like tied cans to the back of our car for like wedding bells. I don't know, some sort of tradition, but it was literally so special, and I am so thankful that we did it and then we got married, and that it was like we had this moment with each other, and yeah, it was awesome. So now we're in wedding mode, planning our second wedding. I don't know. My mom was joking. She's like, so what's your anniversary gonna be? Are you gonna have 2 anniversaries, or are you gonna do having 2 weddings? Or you can say you got married twice. I was like, oh my gosh, this is too funny. So anyways, that's the big update, and it's actually just like been so fun being married. We went on like a little mini moon, just like kind of a staycation kind of thing. After we got married, we stayed at a resort on the beach for a couple days, and it was funny because if you already know this, me and John like to surf. And so we were staying there laying out, and we're like watching the waves, and we're just like, like we kind of want to go surfing, but our surfboards are at home. So we ended up leaving the resort to go get our surfboards at home, and then came back and went surfing. So anyways, that's like us to a T. Staycations are awesome, and it was so fun. And then you guys, more life updates. So much, like I've been holding this secret in for way too long. I feel like when I recorded the last episode, I literally was like, do I say anything about getting married? But like, I don't want to say anything yet. Like, I don't know. This is like a whole other thing too I'm like literally rambling. This is the longest introduction ever. But for anyone who is getting engaged or married or whatever, like announcing something, my piece of advice that I learned when I got engaged is I announced being engaged like this day after I got engaged, and I hadn't processed that I was engaged yet. And because I posted it, it got so like people were just like messaging me, calling me, texting me. Like it was so amazing to have so many people just like supporting me in my community and my friends and family, but I hadn't processed it. So it led to me feeling really overwhelmed. So I guess my piece of advice for anyone who's like announcing something huge is I would let yourself process it first before you make the big announcement to the public and to everybody. Cause I think it's really important to like make sure that you are good and you have like, because when I got engaged, like the day after, I don't know why, but I felt really depressed and like really sad. And I literally don't know why I felt like this. But even after getting married, like there was definitely some emotions I was going through. And I mean, it's just like a big life change. So I think it's important to make sure you let yourself like process things, and then you can share it with everybody. But that's like my piece of advice that I've kind of learned. And I didn't realize before everything happened, I was like, oh yeah, I want to share everything right away. But I realized like it is really important to let myself like process things. So anyways, there's another life update, you guys. Another one. This is the last one, I promise. And then we'll get into the episode. Me and John went to Miami on this past weekend. And wow, this is a whole story. Like I could just have this entire episode be catching you guys up on everything because so much has happened in the past week. But I should never, ever be allowed to book a hotel ever again, ever. Anyways, I booked a hotel in Hotels Tonight, and this hotel looked cute. Like it had good reviews. Everything looked good. And I was like, okay, the area it's in is not the best ever, but like, it's fine. It's close to where we're going. So we're running a race for Red Bull's Wings for Life Global Run. And we had to stay near like Brickell downtown area, if you're familiar with Miami. So you stay at this hotel. We get to the hotel, you guys. There was a full-blown rave, like a tribal rave going on in this courtyard of the hotel. It sounded like a music festival was happening. Like that was the loudness of the speakers, the event, everything. And it was weird. It was a very weird event. So some weird vibes going on there. So we're like walking through this hotel courtyard thing. It's a very hard to explain hotel situation, like layout. There's basically a courtyard and then these like houses around the courtyard. There were hotels with hotel rooms and things. So hard to explain. Anyways, we get into the house that we're in. It's like a house, but it has hotel rooms within the house. And there's different houses that are part of the entire hotel complex. Anyways, this place smelled like a frat house. It literally, my first instinct goes, it's a frat house. It smells like a freaking frat house. We get into the room. Super cute. Super like boho vibes. Love it. Then, you guys, this is like 9:30 p.m. ish. We're having to wake up at like 5 a.m. in the morning. It rolls around to 2 a.m. in the morning and the music was still going. It was like blaring and the walls were so thin in this place. There was also a porch, by the way, a porch that was right outside our room. And a bunch of like drunk people were standing on the porch yelling. And this is 2 a.m. in the morning. I hadn't fallen asleep. I literally started crying because I was like, I cannot fall asleep for the life of me right now. And it is 2 in the morning and I'm running like 5 miles tomorrow. John's running 14 miles. And I left a review that night while I was half asleep and I have no idea what I said. So anyways, it was something else. It was an experience, but we ran a race and I PR'd in my running time and distance, and John ran 14 miles, which is his PR ever, and he crushed it. And that's the update. But wow, so many updates. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on into the episode and let's chat, because this episode is so important because summertime is among us and I keep seeing so many things about like hot girl summer habits, all this stuff. And I want to chat about it. I want to talk about how you can level up this summer and quote unquote your hot girl summer, make it count. But here's the thing. I know how much pressure it can feel in summertime. Like I totally get it, because if you're in college or if you're in high school and you have a summer break, or if you're not in college and you're working, I feel like there's so much pressure to like have this perfect bikini body during summer. And I talked about it a couple episodes ago when we talked about summer body scaries. I think it was 2 episodes ago. We really dove into this. But even aside from just body image pressures, I think there's a lot of pressure to advance in your career, advance your education, start a business, like start a new eating habit, lifestyle, whatever. Like this summertime, I personally would always get very overwhelmed when I was on summer break, because I felt like there were so many possibilities and options and choices of what I could be doing and using my time to do. But I just want to talk about like some advice I have for how to make the most out of your summer, but not in this like very overwhelming way. And the first thing I want to chat about is discipline. So I know you're probably like, Callie, you were literally just talking about how we're going to make this not so like, what's the word? Like overwhelming and strict and rigorous. But this is something I've really learned recently. And it has truly been changing the game for me and been really just like changing how I've been living my life, and it's made me a lot more productive, motivated, but I'm honestly like having more balance in my life because of discipline. So let's talk about it. I started reading this book called like You Can't Hurt Me. And it's a very freaking intense book. And I've only read 1 chapter just for reference. Like I'm still very fresh into the book. But something I learned while reading this book is that there are 2 voices in our heads. So the first voice is our voice of comfort. The second voice is our voice of discomfort. So, okay, let me explain. Imagine you are going to go and do a workout. So let's say you're planning out your day and you write, okay, I'm going to do a 30-minute Pilates workout today, but you don't set a set time. Typically, I don't set a time. I just say like, I'm going to do this workout today. Let's say it rolls around. It's 2 p.m. and you have free time and you're like, okay, now is my time to do the workout. Let's do it. I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but there's like this voice in your head that's like, no, let's actually do this instead. You need to go check your text and you need to go and read your emails, or you could be going outside really fast, laying out in the sun. Like there's this voice of almost distraction. And this is where I feel like I have struggled in the past with staying disciplined, is when this voice overpowers the voice of discomfort. So this is called the voice of comfort, which is when it's trying to get you to take the easier path in your life. So doing the things that are comfortable for you. And for me, the best example is if I'm about to go do a workout and I get distracted on my phone and start scrolling on TikTok, that's the voice of comfort causing that to happen. So the voice of discomfort is when you are doing the things that push you out of your comfort zone. So doing the things that make you feel like that this is not so easy. It's pushing you, but it's helping you surpass complacency and not get stuck in a place of always kind of living a very flat life. So the book talks about how it's important to always pick the voice of discomfort when you're making decisions. And I agree to this to an extent. I have been applying this to my life, especially in the terms of health and wellness and fitness and nutrition and all that stuff. But I also do think it's very important to make sure you also give yourself time to celebrate life and have balance as well. So I love like the 80-20 rule, and obviously the 80-20 rule is like just a reference point. It doesn't really matter if it's 80-20, but I think it's I've kind of been living my life more aligned with this rule without even realizing it. So basically, like, let's just talk about, I guess, nutrition, for example. I've opened up a lot about kind of like last year I had a lot of struggles with an eating disorder, and I've actually struggled for several years with different eating disorders, and the past year has been me learning to heal my relationship with food. And I'm so excited because I'm finally at a place where I feel like I've healed, and I'm at this like exciting crossroads where I'm finally able to dive back into picking foods that are more nourishing and actually starting to eat a certain way to heal my high insulin resistance and to help with cycle syncing foods and all this stuff. Like, it's become this beautiful process, and I'm finally at a cool place where I'm like back to where I was before with like healthy eating, but not in a restrictive way, if that makes sense. So I've been applying this rule in the sense that the majority of what I'm eating, I am making sure it is nutritious and fueling for my body, my physical body. But then the other 20%, like last night, for example, I went out with John and we went to Cold Stone and got ice cream, and we were celebrating our race that we did in Miami. And it's like that other 20% of giving your mind and soul food that makes you just feel like really freaking happy and good. So it's definitely that's been really cool of finding a good balance with everything. But I think when you are doing the 20% and you are enjoying the ice cream, the cake, the resting, the going out with your friends, all that stuff, it's really important to make sure that it's not coming from a place of guilt. Because I actually had this conversation with John yesterday in the car about, so in the past, I've had fitness instructors, I've taken a class with a fitness instructor who was like, hold the plank longer and you can eat more turkey for Thanksgiving. And we were chatting about it. And basically I had this conclusion that the reason that in that situation was triggering for my eating disorder versus like going out and celebrating and getting ice cream after a run. So the reason like those two situations are very different, hold the plank longer for turkey, is making turkey seem like this negative thing that's going to bring harm to you and ruin your goals. Where when you're going out for ice cream and celebrating, there's none of this guilt around the ice cream. You're literally just enjoying it and having a happy moment with your friends. So what I'm trying to say is when you're enjoying balance in your life, it's important to really actually be present in those moments and to not sit there and dwell on, oh, this is so bad for me, this is going to hurt me. Because when you add that energy into your life, into that moment, maybe it would hurt you. I think it's all comes down to how you make things out to be for yourself. If I'm going to go eat a slice of cake and I'm dwelling on how many calories or sugars there are in that slice of cake, versus if I go eat a slice of cake and I'm feeling very like, oh my gosh, like I deserve this. Like this is delicious. Like I'm so happy I'm eating this right now. The energy of the happy situation versus the guilty situation, like that guilty energy is going to manifest in the rest of your day, versus when you're like joyful and grateful for just having those 20% moments, even the 80% moments. Like it's so good. So anyways, that was a realization that I had, and I just wanted to kind of tell you guys that, since summer is a great time to learn how to balance, how to add balance in your health and wellness journey. Something else that I want to just talk about really fast is kind of getting into the whole body image thing. I know I talked a lot about this a couple of weeks ago, but I want to just dive into it again because I think it's so important. And there is so much unnecessary pressure that we have placed on us from social media during the summer. Like, let's be real. There's so many just businesses out there, marketing, trying to make us feel like our bodies aren't enough, that we have to do more to look perfect by society standards. And I am here to just tell you that you, my queen, are enough. Your body is beautiful just the way it is. I don't care if you're on day 1 of your fitness journey. I don't care if you're on day 0 of your fitness journey or day 100. Your body is still beautiful. And society needs to stop. Society simply needs to stop telling us that our bodies are not good enough until we have reached the end of our fitness journey or we've hit our goals, because it's just not true. You can still love your body even when your body isn't at your goal, if that makes sense. And there is a lot of power to loving your body throughout the entire journey. And I talk about this on the other episode, is that I used to really, really, really hate my body. I literally was so insecure in high school and in college. And I remember even when I'd lose weight, I still wasn't happy. I still was not satisfied. And I still felt like I had to do more and more and more. And it wasn't good. But I started to have a much more positive fitness journey is when I started to literally just see my body as a powerhouse and see that it was doing its best. It was doing its best to keep me alive. It's doing its best to get stronger. And we don't give our bodies enough credit. So if you've been struggling with body image, a great thing to do is to put your hands on the part of your body that you're feeling insecure about and literally say out loud, I love this part of my body. The tongue has a lot of power. Self-talk has a lot of power. And I just want to remind you to be mindful about what you're speaking out into the world. Speaking out love about your body, speaking out love about other people, it has a lot of power. And I know that it can help you with so much with your body image if you just start to talk to yourself like a best friend. Okay, moving on. I feel like this episode is we have a lot to chat about. Something else in the summer that is really if you want to level up, this summer, something else that's helpful is to, like I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, is setting goals for yourself. So the summertime I feel like summer holds so much just creativity, there's so much it's like you're in the sun, you're outside, you're feeling just all of this nature warmth and good vibes. And something that is really helpful in the summer is to give yourself that clear direction of where do I want to go with my summer. So if your summer, you're all about building those hot girl summer habits and you want to become the best version of you, I want you to literally get a piece of paper and define what that best version of you is that you're wanting to work towards. Painting a picture for yourself of what does this best me look like. Writing down a situation of how am I feeling in this best version of myself. What am I wearing? Who am I with? What am I doing? Starting to paint this visual picture. You can even close your eyes and just do a visualization exercise of visualizing who you want to become, and then getting real with yourself of, okay, working backwards from this picture I've painted, how do I get to this version of myself? So writing down step by step what you need to do to become this version of you. And you can even do this for if you have a business idea, if you're wanting to start a podcast over the summer, or if you're wanting to write a book this summer, writing down, defining what that's going to look like. So if you don't have to know the exact name of your podcast or what it's about so far, but starting to kind of just think about getting a clear vision of where you want to go with it and then writing down the steps to get there. Small steps for the win. I always say that. If you try and just look at everything at once, chances are that thing's not going to happen because you're going to get so overwhelmed and try to do too much at once. I remember when I first started doing social media, I think I got TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest. I was trying to post on so many different platforms and I got really burnt out because I didn't put my eggs and focus on one thing at a time. So when I really defined, okay, I'm going to focus on TikTok for the next few weeks, that is when my TikTok started to grow. And I was like, okay, we're going to get into Instagram now. And then we're going to add on YouTube. It was a slow process. And so I know summer can feel overwhelming. And I just want to remind you that you don't have to do 50 million things at once. Slowly add new things into your day. And if doing 10 things in your morning routine does not make you feel good, then don't do those 10 things. It's all about working with your body, not against it, and really just listening to what your body is needing. Okay, and then also, you guys, something else that a lot of you have been just chatting with me about lately is I shared a couple of weeks ago, I think it was like a month ago, honestly, I shared my testimony. And if you haven't already listened to it, I definitely recommend going and listening to my testimony. I basically share everything that got me to where I am today. And I just talk about how I grew closer to God. And something that I know I stress this like all the time, but truly, if you want to level up this summer, getting into your relationship with God is the actual best thing you can do. And I probably should have just said that first and foremost. But let me explain. You can do all of these things, all of these habits that everyone is telling you to do to make your summer the best thing ever, to become the best you, to have a hot girl summer. But truly, none of these things are going to fill your cup in the long term. I've done it, and I've talked about this I think I talked about it in my testimony. I had essentially, quote unquote, manifested my dream life in 2021. I was living in like the most beautiful apartment ever in Miami. It was floor to ceiling, just glass windows. It was white floors, white walls. Like everything was so picture perfect. It was on the 11th floor, overlooking the pool. It was beautiful. I was living with my best friend. I just gotten my dog Axel. I had a new job that I was super excited about. I was building a business, all of this stuff. And I had a relationship, all these things. I just felt like my life from the outside looked so perfect. But on the inside, I was actually crumbling. This phase of my life is when I started to struggle a lot with my mental health. I was struggling a lot with depression, and my anxiety was getting worse and worse by the day. And when I tried to explain it to people, it was weird, because I was like, my life, literally, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it looks amazing. It should be amazing, but I just feel so empty on the inside. And it wasn't until around like it was November, that I remember I ordered this devotional called Live on Purpose by Sadie Robertson. My friend Meredith Good posted on her story, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of good. It's talking about fear and anxiety. Like, I'm struggling with this. Like, I'm going to check it out. I downloaded this devotional, and this is when cool things in my life started to really, really happen. So around this time, I had these two friends who I didn't even know were both Christians, and they invited me to the same church. They didn't even know each other. Also, this was really cool. They invited me the same weekend, and I went to the service, and it literally was like so freaking fun. First of all, I had a really bad experience going to church, and I always had like a weird ick about it. But they invited me to this church, and I was like, I'm going to give it a second chance. I haven't been to church in like 4 years, but like, let's just try it out. You guys, it was literally like every single thing that the pastor was saying was just like speaking directly to me. It was like God was speaking to me. It was just so freaking cool. And from there, I just started to really dive into my relationship with God. Before that, I had been diving into a lot of spirituality stuff, astrology stuff, and it was like, yes, that stuff is real, but the power of God is it's just so much more powerful than that stuff. And it was cool because everything had fallen into place, and it was beautiful. It just led me back to God. And I stopped doing all of my astrology stuff, and I started to just dive headfirst into growing closer to God through reading my daily devotional, reading the Bible. I started with Matthew. If you're wanting to start the Bible this summer, the New Testament, Matthew, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, start there, slowly read through them, and that is like the best place to start ever. But I started to do that on the daily. I started to pray. I started to just talk to God like he was my father and my friend. It wasn't all of these like super serious like prayers where it was just like I was really chatting in my mind to my friend and my father. And so really cool things started happening, and I started to heal. I started to really heal and get out of this weird funk and place in my life. And it felt just like I was just so much more fulfilled in my life. I stopped being such a party girl. I realized that going out and partying all night long and drinking and not eating enough food and taking Adderall and all that stuff like was not fulfilling and was not good for my body and my health and my relationship with God. And so truly, like, this was the thing that led me to become the best version of myself. And what's super freaking cool about it is that best version never stops improving, never stops evolving. Like, since I got back and grew close to God, I have truly become, like, I'm a totally different person, and in such a cool way. Like, I freaking got married last week. And this time last year, May, I had just stopped drinking alcohol. I was healing from an eating disorder. I was still struggling. And in the past year, like, it's just been beautiful to see everything that has fallen into place, and just everything that has, like, God's been doing in my life. And I'm also not here to, like, preach this, like, prosperity gospel thing. Like, stuff still happens, but I'm just trying to say, like, if you have been struggling, like, if you have been feeling really empty and lonely and sad, and, like, you just feel like nothing in your life is making you feel happy, try just talking to God. Just try it out. And I know it can feel scary. I know it can feel freaking weird, but you just have to start. Just start with a little prayer. Be like, hey, God. And you don't even have to go to church right away. Like, I didn't go to church for, like, a couple months after I'd started reading a devotional and praying to God again. Like, you can ease into it. And God is there for you. And I know that He's going to help you feel so much more just light and love and joy in your life and peace. So anyways, that's my little spiel about everything. But I guess to, like, tie this episode up in a little bow, because it's all over the place. Let's be real. It's all over the place. You're like, Callie, what? This episode is a little chaotic. It's okay. And there was a couple times where I was like, do I restart this episode? But to be honest, I was like, no, because that's just who I am. Sometimes my brain just works this way, and that's totally fine. We have to talk about a lot of things. But I think the final thing I want to just say to you is have fun. Take life less seriously. Because when I was running 5 miles this past weekend, I was really pushing myself. I was doing the listen to the voice of discomfort and push myself. And while I was doing that, I was like, this is so hard. I genuinely don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, I want to do it. I'm going to do it. But, like, I'm not having fun. Like, I'm literally dying right now. And in that moment, I was like, I want to have fun. I deserve to have fun. And I'm going to make this race fun for myself. So in that moment, I started just blasting music, dancing, having fun while I was running, taking the pace at a pace that I could hold and was working for me. And I realized, like, in order to truly hit our goals and to become the best version of you and have a hot girl summer and all that stuff, hot girl summer, hot girl winter, whatever you want to freaking call it, you got to have fun, take life less seriously. You can make everything fun. Yes, I know. I know you're like, but work is not always fun. It's all in the way you look at it. It's all about perspective. You can make anything fun. If work is not fun for you at the moment, listen to some music that makes you feel really happy. Stand up every 5 minutes and just, like, have a dance party if you're working from home. Doing more things that are just fun for you. Adding more hobbies into your life. Like, we don't always have to be in this, like, grind mode, like, level up in my career and all this stuff. Like, add things into your life that are fun, and it's going to make your summer and your life that much better. Okay. If you love this episode, make sure you do tag me in your stories on Instagram at HealthyBeHumanPod. And let me know if you have any topic requests. Like, you guys always, like, I make these episodes truly for you. You, like, this is the only reason I have a podcast, is because I want to help you guys. And sometimes I feel like DMing just doesn't do the job. So if you have anything you want me to talk about, just let me know on Instagram. And I hope you have the best day ever. You deserve to have the best day, and just take it one thing at a time. Level up this summer, whether it's leveling up in having fun, leveling up in finding balance, leveling up in becoming a healthier, more athletic in shape version of you. Whatever it is, do it because you want to enjoy it, have fun, and feel good. And just, yeah, you got this, okay? You can do it. If everyone doesn't believe in you, I'm here to tell you I believe in you. You can do that thing. You can start that podcast. You can go on that cool trip. Like, get out of your comfort zone this summer and go have fun. Okay? All right, my gorgeous queen. I love you. Have the best day ever. Stay sweaty and healthy, stay healthy, be human. And I will see you next week. Bye, my gorgeous queen.